As a brand management team for Canon, we conducted an MRI research in order to identify customer profiles for Canon as well as compare it with our two most competitive brands, which are Nikon and Sony. IndExpress helped to identify the 5 demographic variables which have the highest potential for segmenting the market. As shown in the Canon chart, the top 5 variables are household income, education, race, age, and occupations. Canon shares 4 of the highest spreads with its 2 most competitive brands. However, different brands show that they have different focus on customers, resulting in different order of the variables. For example, race ranked 3rd on Nikon's, but ranked 1st on Nikon's. This means for Nikon's, race plays a bigger part in identifying what group of customers will be more likely to buy the camera from Nikon. IndExpress resulted that all 3 companies target the same demographic group. This also indicated that the company is on the right track in marketing towards its customers by having the same target variables with its competitors.
The tables below illustrates the highest indices for Canon and the specific segment within the variables that are highlighted. People with household income of $150,000 or more have an index of 160 for Canon, which means that these households are 60% more likely to own a Canon product than the average household. For education, the segment graduated college plus are 77% more likely to own a Canon than the average person. For race, Asians are 66% more likely than average person to own a Canon. Young adults aged 25 to 34 are 44% more likely than the average person to own a Canon. Finally, people with professional and related occupations are 77% more likely to own a Canon than the average person. Indices for Canon's competitors Nikon and Sony are shown in the below table for 10 segments. For the household income of $150,000 and more segment, Canon and Nikon have similar indices, but Sony has an index of 122. This suggests that Canon and Nikon compete directly in this segment, but Sony is a less important competitor. For the graduated college plus segment, Canon has the highest index of 177, which suggests that this segment is loyal to Canon products and most likely to own a Canon camera. Finally, for the professional and related occupation segment, all 3 brands have very high indices, which suggests that these consumers are equally likely to own each of the brands and/or may own more than one brand of camera.
Next, we're going to discuss about the percentage of the users of Canon and its competitors. The first demographic we focus on is household income. The segment has the Canon highest percentage of the user is family with income of $75,000 to $149,000, with 39.2%. Canon seems to have a larger market in higher house income demographic. Customers with a household income of $75,000 to $149,000 have the highest percentage among the 3 brands. Moving on, in education variable, it highlights the graduate college segment had the highest percentage of 47.9%. As we are able to realize in the chart below, the Canon percentage of the users is quite moderate to Sony and Nikon throughout the most education segment. Only under the graduate college demographic, Canon has higher percentage than the other 2 with 47.9%. In the postgraduate demographic, the 3 brand percentages are really close to each other, with a value of 15.4, 15.3, and 15.7%. Moving on to the race variable. It shows that 77.5% of the Canon camera users in the phone 2010 were white. We can easily notice in the domination of white segment and white-only segment in consuming power. On Canon, Sony, Nikon have the highest percentage in the white demographic, compared to all other races with 77.5%, 66.3% and 76.4%. Canon takes over the highest percentage in the white community, while Sony wins over the black community and Nikon has its highest spot in Asian community. The next variable we focus on is age. The Canon's highest percent of the users in the age 25 to 34 segment at 25.7%. Canon has a moderate percent of the users compared to Sony with 29.9% and Nikon with 29.5%. However, under the age of 34 to 44 segment, Canon has a higher percentage compared to other brands with 24.6%. Finally, we focus on the occupation variable. We can see that Canon has percentage of users is under the professional and related occupation segment at 23.8%. Obviously, professional segment hold on 3 brands high percent down. The highest percentage belong to Sony with 24.8%, followed by Nikon, Canon with 24% and 23.8%.
An ideal customer profile for mass marketing will have a high percentage down and a high index. In a product user indices analysis, household incomes and education have the highest indices, which indicate high potential of people to use Canon. Also, a high percentage down is another factor to decide which segment Canon should use mass marketing. After analyzing the two factors, the recommendation for Canon for mass marketing is people who graduated college. As shown in the table, this segment has the highest index of 177, meaning people in this segment will be 77% more likely to purchase Canon products compared to the average population. In addition, this segment has the highest percentage down of 47.9%. It means nearly half of Canon users are in this segment. With a large share of product users and a high potential to own Canon products, it makes the most sense for Canon to do mass marketing to graduated college segment. On the other hand, an ideal customer profile for niche marketing should have a high index and a relatively smaller share of users. As stated in the mass marketing strategy, household incomes and education will have the highest potential of people to choose Canon. However, medium percentage down is another factor to decide which segment Canon should focus to niche market. The recommendation for Canon for niche marketing is people with postgraduate. As shown in the table, postgraduate segment has the highest index of 162, meaning people in this segment will be 62% more likely to purchase Canon products compared to the average population. In addition, this segment has the median percentage down of 15.4%, enough to make profit, but not too large for mass marketing. With a relatively smaller share of product user and a high potential to own Canon products, the postgraduate segment is a great target for Canon to do niche marketing.
After knowing more about our consumer profiles, we move on to compare the data between percentage down and index numbers in order to find out which meta channels should Canon focus on for mass marketing and niche marketing. For mass marketing, under internet channels, we recommend that Canon follow the five foreign websites to do their marketing campaign, which are Facebook, YouTube, Yahoo, Amazon, and Wikipedia. For TV channels, we suggest that Canon should focus on the Discovery Channel, History Channel, the Weather Channel, TPS, and ESPN. For magazines, the top 5 should be NNN Top 100 Sunday, Parade Karen Newspaper, the NN Top 100 Daily, Metro Per Karen Newspaper, and People. The NNN stands for the Newspaper National Network, which includes some of the well-known titles such as the New York Times, the Washington Post, the Chicago Sun-Times, the Seattle Times, and the Orange County Register. Niche marketing focus on many of their vehicles which could reach high percentage of product users or buyers. The product user buyer also have moderate index numbers, meaning that they are more likely to buy the product than the general population, but not as much like the product buyers under the mass marketing approach. The result of shortened two columns percentage down and index of the MRI report is not relevant. In all three categories, the vehicles with largest coverage are not the one which could reach consumers with highest likelihood to buy the products. Therefore, the channels was chosen based on the one which have medium percentage down with relatively high index number. As a result, for internet channels, we recommend Canon to go after the CNN, Xperia, iTunes, Gmail, and eBay. For TV channels, the top 5 are National Geographic Channel, the TLC, the Learning Channels, GIAC TV, Home and Garden Television, The Animal Planet, and TNT, which is the Turner Network Television. For magazine channel, we suggest Nikon to focus on the NNN Top 25 Daily, National Geographic, Good Housekeeping, Reader's Digest, and The Time. Knowing the irrelevance between the percentage down index gives the brand managers of Canon a broader picture. The managers now would be able to decide which channel should get more advertising budget.